All right, today's question is, what kind of music or sounds help you get work done? Um, Most of the time, if I want to get some work done and I'm looking for some sounds that'll help me do that, a lot of the times I just listen to music. I oftentimes listen to, Broken Bells, The Shins, Mike Snow, a couple of other groups, just regular stuff, nothing fancy. Sometimes I like listening to some techno or electronica, I don't know, whatever, something that's maybe doesn't have a lot of lyrics, but has a nice beat or something. I really like, there's an album called the Fatboy Slim Norman Cook Collection. It's I guess a collection of some of his older work, and that's really good for mornings, I think. But if I really absolutely positively have to get something done, I actually tune into, it's called NASA TV. They have like a YouTube stream and all this kind of stuff. And it's interesting because they usually have, live space station operations, or they're doing some kind of launch or launch prep or something like that. And, they're just, everything they're doing is so carefully orchestrated and well thought out, and they have contingencies for everything, that it's just, I don't know, if I listen to it, it's really easy to get in kind of a mindset where I'm also, in a fantasy land where all of my projects have been just as well planned out. But yeah, I do think it kind of helps me, work a little faster, and the quality is probably a little bit better, and it's just kind of a, well, if they're doing this, then I'm sure I can too. And it's interesting because I actually got to tour a NASA facility as a social media person. They have a thing called the NASA Social, and I actually got to tour the NASA facility, the Glenn Research Center up in Cleveland, Ohio. And I actually talked with them a little bit about, how they ensure that they meet schedules and they get things done on time. And, it didn't seem like they had, obviously they have to do it, but essentially it seemed like they have a lot of contingencies for their big projects. So the guy I was talking to, he did ion drives. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the TIE fighters from Star Wars, but TIE stands for Twin Ion Engine. And so, this is something from sci-fi, and they're using it to power a lot of spacecraft now. And they have to test the ion engine designs in this, like the world's, most vacuumist vacuum chamber. It's the lowest pressure vacuum chamber in the world, and it's very large. But the interesting thing is, so when you're testing an ion engine, you're actually putting, material into the engine, into the vacuum chamber. So you have to be able to get that material out to maintain the vacuum to test your ion engines. Anyway, I was talking with that guy, and I said, so like, what happens if you've based an entire mission on this new kind of ion engine and you can't deliver? And he's like, well, we always have contingencies for if the new technology doesn't pan out, then we can do the mission with the old technology, and they have like rocket fuel and all that kind of stuff. And the mission's not as good, but just essentially, if one part of the process fails, then everyone else has to adjust. And he didn't really give a lot of examples of that. It'd be interesting to see some examples of NASA projects that maybe didn't live up to what their planners had initially anticipated. But, just there's a lot of spin around NASA missions and stuff. So I don't imagine if it happened that they were exactly going to go and do a documentary on it. Though, I think from the standpoint of NASA being a role model for other people doing their work, I think it'd be really interesting to know. Not everything goes right all the time, and so they have, NASA examples of things not going quite right are things like Apollo 13, where, yeah, things didn't go right, but they saved everyone. And, so it's, I don't know. It's, I listen to it because it's very scheduled and metered, and also I can kind of, that's probably another aspect of it. They often have countdowns or time limits or something going on, so I can kind of in the back of my head say, okay, I'm going to try and get this part of my project done by the time they finish doing this or whatever. So yeah, those are the sounds that I listen to. Also, it's a little odd that we haven't heard it in the background. I've got my train clock up there, but I kind of, there it is. I kind of intentionally moved near the railroad tracks, and I think we're about 300 to 500 feet away from one of the busiest rail corridors in the eastern half of North America, and it's got many, many trains a day. And the line is called the Heartland Corridor on Norfolk Southern, and just lots and lots of trains, and they connect the port of Norfolk with Chicago, and so very large markets there, a lot of freight going back and forth, and then of course all the feeder lines and all the other markets that join in. So very, very busy section of the railroad. So that means 24/7 I'm hearing trains go by. And you know, I think that's kind of relaxing too, in much the same way the NASA stuff is. You know, it's more of a blue collar approach than some of the NASA stuff. But you end up with, you know, there are guys out there getting work done. I mean, moving a train across the continent is a lot of work for a lot of people, and I don't know, I just get inspired by watching other people get work done, and that inspires me to get work done. So that's what it is for me, and so I put out some sounds there. You know, kind of in between the two, it's really weird. I think it's kind of a ridiculous way to spend money, and I have no idea how it ever got authorized, but NASA, well, the US government actually runs a whole bunch of different radio stations around the world, and so they run some in the Middle East under the name Radio Sawa. And so if you ever want to listen to a bunch of Middle Eastern music intermingled with American pop, then go ahead and tune into Radio Sawa sometime. Check that out. My tax dollars at work. But the interesting one that I discovered somewhat recently is there's a radio station called Third Rock Radio, and it's like modern rock all the time. And I don't like, they have a little bit of space news in there, but I don't understand why, I don't understand why they have modern rock on there. I mean, it's the stuff, when I've listened to it, it's been stuff that I liked, but it's you know, maybe, you know, I kind of wonder if maybe sometime NASA will just decide to have a rap station or a country station. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what kind of music I figured I would associate with NASA, but it probably wasn't going to be modern rock. But anyway, if you're looking for something to listen to, maybe check out taxpayer-funded Third Rock Radio by NASA. I don't know. It's something good to listen to, I guess, if you're trying to get work done, but I'd rather listen to NASA TV. So anyway, I can't wait to see what your responses are on this question, but that's what I listen to. So anyway, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'm going to have some links to some of these things down in the description. And be sure also, you know, one of the projects that I've done recently is I actually created an app for Windows 10 devices. So that's Windows Phone, tablets running Windows 10, PCs running Windows 10. This summer it'll be the Xbox, and when HoloLens reaches the masses, the app should work on that as well. But I just kind of made a little social media aggregator so that if you have a Windows device, you can go and download the app. It's named after my longtime blog, 40 Degrees North. So if you just search for 40 space North, then you'll find the app by Mark Noble. And all it is it's got my YouTube videos from the SSSVEDA vlog that we're doing here. But it also has, you know, my Twitter feed and my blog in case I post something there. So anyway, if you want just a nice way to aggregate everything and see everything in one place and see if there's anything new, it's got a live tile that flips around and tells you if there's a new Twitter post or whatever. But yeah, check that out as well. So anyway, thanks a lot.